How would you like a AI research assistant for free? And I guess I should put for free in quotes, because if you want to use any sort of large model like OpenAI or Claude or whatever, you would have to pay per token for the API. But it just takes a little know-how, and it is way cheaper than, let's say, a $200 a month deep research assistant by OpenAI. Now, I know they're going to offer a free tier, and I've got Perplexity up that offers a free tier, but let me just show you this. Now, when you use this, it's not going to look exactly the same because I've tweaked the code a little bit just for my own personal use. I've even embedded it into my own local chatbot that I have with a RAG architecture and whatnot, and I can just do everything in here. But that's the really cool part about all the open sourceness of the AI community with all these contributors. It shows you how many people it's used by, and it just takes a little know-how. Now, I'm not going to go how to install it because there's amazing documentation that they've already provided, whether you install it on Windows, Mac, Linux, like I have it running on Ubuntu back behind me. But let's take a look at it. I'm going to say, tell me about NVIDIA, because that's what I just ran a report on in Perplexity and just want to show comparison purposes. Now, I don't personally pay for Perplexity or OpenAI because I try to build as much locally as possible, again, to save money and just to learn for myself. But this output is really cool. Now, while that is running, let's just talk about some general precautionary measures for anything open source. Security is the big thing. I'm not going to tell you that this is safe. Personally, I've gone through the code. I believe it to be safe. But there are things like Trojan horses, for example, where someone embeds some sort of like malware into something, and then you pull the GitHub repository and it's installed on your system, and now you have something running that has malware in it on your computer. With all the contributors and all the positive feedback and everything else, plus me going through the code, I will say I do not have any worries about using this and having any security issues on my system. But again, I'm not telling you that it is completely safe. That is just my own opinion. And you install it, whether via Docker image, which I'm sure a lot of people aren't going to do, or cloning it and then running it. And then here, getting an API key or in a Tavily key. So this is still running. Let's talk about Tavily. Tavily, if I go over here, gives you 1,000 credits per month to use for a researcher, which I don't fully understand how they're making money, but you can see here, researcher, 1,000 per month. No credit card required. I don't have my credit card in the system. Of course, I can update if I build it into a larger system with a bunch of people that are going to use it. But then it also has here. So I can even go here, tell me about NVIDIA. So if you don't want to go through all of the steps of installing and building your own solution and being able to prompt engineer it to have different outputs, like here, you can see if I scroll up, there's a whole bunch of tones. Now, this is more out of the box of the open source library, and also summary. It can be short and fast, detailed resource report, and you can alter the way Tavily has outputs through additional coding, or again, just want the information, here you go. And even here, it'll provide all of the resources. You can download as PDF. You can see the full report here. Now, I believe this is also finished. So we'll download that PDF, and you can see here's the comprehensive report. And then let's compare it. I think it's already downloaded to Perplexities. Export PDF. Should download. And now we have here. Now, probably the prettiest, and of course I could go in and I could really pretty up the output for my own local deep researcher. I don't care. I just need the information. Even here, you can see that it's got a bit of formatting, but there's stuff you'd want to be bold. So yeah, Perplexity for the price better look the prettiest out of the box. But let's kind of look at the outputs here. Founding and early innovations, GPU architecture, CUDA, high performance computing, automotive, whatnot. And we're just kind of looking generally on what kind of topics. And of course, it provided 5 different resources that it looked at, scraped all the information, and then wrote this report for. Let's look at the deep researcher that I have running locally, the GPT researcher. History, early years, expansion and dominance, talking about CUDA, very important. This is why, side note, NVIDIA is so dominant. It's because all these Python libraries are optimized to run on CUDA architecture on there for parallelized computing, and then you get more efficient outputs. What else? Key announcements as of late for CES 2025. And at the bottom, it produced 9 different, not saying that more citations equals better output, but it did have the ability to scrape more information. And then finally, let's look at the Tavily output. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 outputs. So you can see how with a bit of additional coding, you're going to get probably improved outputs. But I think Tavily is great out of the box if you don't want to install anything on your system and you're just using it to scrape information and find it. So this just raises general awareness. Again, here is the library. They also have amazing videos, again, of how to install it on your system, even to the point of setting up virtual Python environments on your system, because you do, just to go a little bit further, if this is something you've never done, need to install a bunch of Python libraries on your system, and you want to make sure it's contained within a separate environment from your global environment. And that's kind of the trade-off. If you don't want to spend $200 a month or whatever Perplexity requires, you got to have a little bit of know-how. And if you do, this has been fantastic. Again, it's even got its own Python library, GPT researcher, that you can then embed into other systems like I have here. So there are alternatives. The open source community is accelerating at a pace, keeping up with or even advancing past at times. Like DeepSeek, for example, the closed source community that's offering things like this. It just requires just a little bit of know-how, and you can save a ton of money.